go. There we go. I know you guys are completely, your plates are totally full, and I'm not in the classroom now, but I can imagine that you're teaching, on two fronts, and you've got more issues than anybody should have to handle. So what I'm going to try to do for you today is to give you some resources that could, make it a lot easier. If you've played the stock market game, you're familiar with the platform, and you're familiar with StockTrack and some of the resources that they provide in terms of lesson plans and videos and things like that. Well, this is, I believe they kind of had a soft rollout in the fall, and so this is kind of like the big rollout here in the spring. And it's a great budget game that I'm going to introduce you to. And I actually spent the last few days playing the entire game. As I will show you, it's 18 simulated months, and so I played the game myself, and really got to know it pretty well. And I mean, it's very realistic. There are a few glitches, obviously, a few things that are a little bit out of reality in terms of some of the costs of things and so forth, but nothing major. But it really is going to make the kids think. It's really going to make the kids, it'll teach them the right lessons. You always want to vet these programs to make sure that the right lessons are being taught. Solid fundamentals are being taught. So I give this a good thumbs up. I'm going to jump into my screen here, and we'll do a number of things. Let me show you the. Let me do a little advertising. I sent a flyer out. I'm assuming everybody can see what's on the screen. On the 9th of February, I'm completely changing gears, and I'm doing a workshop on the economics of race and the Great Migration in conjunction with Black History Month. And it's a free workshop. I sent the flyer out through the same, portal and the same, email lists that I sent this one out. So you probably received it, but I just wanted to remind you, it's an hour and a half. It's Tuesday, the February 9th, and it's going to address the Great Migration. It's going to address the push and pull factors that led people to make that fateful decision, 6 million African Americans to leave the South. And then it's going to focus on some of the inequity issues that have really come to light in the Black Lives Matter movement and in recent times in terms of income inequality. And what are some of the roots of that? So we're going to take a look at housing policies, FHA housing policies, going to look at redlining, going to take a look at urban renewal and the building of the highway system. So this is a grand undertaking, and it is relevant to not only economics teachers, but history teachers, African American history teachers, civics teachers, government. So hopefully you can join me for that. So that's just a little bit of advertising there. All right, so what I'm going to do, I've set aside, like an hour and 15 minutes, and I've just used up 4 minutes of it. So advertising. So I wanted to show you the game. I wanted to make you familiar with the game. I want you to also be aware of the fact that I'm going to share with everybody a Nearpod that I've created that will give you an introduction to what budgeting is, so some of the budgeting fundamentals. As I go through the process of the game, I'm going to show you that there are some resources that the StockTrack people have set aside, some videos, some lesson plans, and they're okay. There are some articles and things that you can utilize. But there are a lot of better resources out there if you want to teach kids the fundamentals of budgeting before you actually throw them into the midst of the simulation. So this particular Nearpod is something that I have produced, and it's so it's introduction to budgeting. It talks about all sides of a budget, and it talks about taxation, talks about inflation, talks about all the factors. So it's a pretty good one-stop shop thing. So I'm going to put that aside for now because I really want to talk about the game, but I want you to be aware. And if there are a few minutes left over, I can run through some of the slides. But I think it's something that if I give it to you and you spend like an hour exploring it, familiarizing yourself with it. If you're familiar with what a Nearpod is, it's a very interactive resource. It's meant to connect students. It's a student engagement platform. So there are questions embedded in it. There are, different collaborative boards where the kids, throw their ideas up on a board for discussion. There's videos with embedded questions. So it is a really, really, really nice, nice resource. So I will share that with you. And if I do have a little bit of time at the end of this session with you, then we can explore it. Okay. So let me get into the game. So I'm gonna utilize this PowerPoint here, and I'm going to take you through it. It's not what I wanted. Okay, and so this will give you a nice, and you can use this with the kids without a doubt. I wrote it with the idea of this being presented to the kids. So you can, you don't have to. I mean, at the end, I have some links to the actual stock track of videos that they promote for student consumption and for also teacher use. Again, if something that I talk today goes in one ear and out the other, and you need a refresher, okay, I have links to that. I've also got links to some of their lesson plans related to budgeting. So, but here's the basic idea. It is a comprehensive activity, and again, not only is it simulation, but it is a lot of support resources. So you can see it's lesson plans. There's articles. There is a variety of things that will teach more than just budgeting. Some of the more specific things like student loans and bank accounts and things of that nature, so the kids are familiar with all aspects of what they're about to approach. And so they've put a lot of work into this thing, without a doubt, no question. All right, so I have highlighted these two things. These are, as I said to you, I really give a thumbs up to the.
You're sharing via Nearpod.
Oh wow, okay. Let me jump in here again.
Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate that. That's very helpful. Now I think we got it. How's that? Good? How do we see it? I'm assuming the silence means yes. All right, so I've highlighted these two phrases up here. I mean, these are the basic mantra of the game. These are the things that they're promoting above all other things. You want to teach the kids to pay themselves first. So it's all about make saving, a top priority. Think about savings the same way as you think about paying a bill. Okay, quite often, unfortunately, people, they get their income, they pay their bills, they have some fun, and then if there's anything left over, they save it. So you want to kind of reverse that. You want to have your dessert first. So the game really promotes this idea of paying yourself first, and then they want you to live a balanced life. Okay? In other words, they don't want you to be a hoarder. They don't want you to be, totally 100% frugal Frank. Okay, they want you to recognize that you have to enjoy yourself. You have to socialize. You have to, have a balanced life where you splurge on occasion. So, these are the two main principles in which that the game teaches, and to the point where there are disincentives. If you all of a sudden become too frugal, or if you don't save enough, bad things will happen to you. Bad things will pop up into the game. And all of a sudden you won't be very competitive. So, it really focuses on these two things. These are the two main mantra that they want to teach the kids, right? So building an emergency savings, right? Building your credit score, making responsible buying decisions, okay? So that, you have an understanding of needs and wants, okay? And then fostering a higher quality of life. So again, they don't want you to be, living on ramen and wafers in some hovel. Okay, they want you to recognize that there are benefits to a higher quality life. So they actually give you points for it, and it actually contributes to your overall competitive position in the game. I will tell you, for instance, as I said to you earlier, I played the game, and somehow, some way, my playing of the game got into the overall competition that's going on now across the state of Florida. And I only ended up being in third place. And the reason I ended up being in third place was because I was too focused on savings. I didn't focus enough on my quality of life points. And so where I had unbelievable emergency savings, I didn't really have much of a social life, and I didn't splurge enough. So these are the things that it attempts to promote. All right. So the role that the kids play, it's 6 months. It's an 18-month game. So the first 6 months, you're a student with a part-time job. And so your living conditions and your bills and all of those things are fashioned to that particular role. Okay, you're going to school, you're studying, so that's part of the balance of life. But you have your weekends, you have your you're paying rent, but you got roommates, and you have modest costs as a college kid would have. So it definitely, it builds an identity for a college student for 6 months. And then you graduate, and then you get a full-time job for 12 months. So all of a sudden, your bills change, your housing circumstances change. You have a vehicle and insurance and all these other things that you didn't necessarily carry when you were a college kid. So with the role comes the change of lifestyle, the change of responsibility, the change, the breadth of your life, enlarges. So with it comes more responsibilities. Okay, so you basically have to, as I said, strike a balance between work, studying, socializing, and again, you are rewarded for doing that well, and there are penalties if you don't. And you will get as I will show you, you'll get a bird's eye view of what's happening. You'll get a breakdown of each of your class activities, your individual kids' summaries. You can see everything happening real time. Okay. As I said, you play 18 simulated months. Each month takes about 20 minutes to complete. So again, I told you I went through the experience. And it took me about 20 minutes to get through the month of simulated life, in terms of going, and I'll show you how to do it, but basically you travel through a calendar and bills pop up, responsibilities, when your electric bill is due, when your phone bill is due, when your rent is due, these things. But then all of a sudden the unexpected pop up as well. So you have to manage it, when your paycheck comes in. So all of these things are occurring throughout the month. So you travel through a calendar month, and it takes you about 20 minutes to complete all the different activities. At the beginning of the month, you are posed with some questions, right? You are basically asked, you get to review what your expenses are going to be. You get to review what your anticipated income is going to be. And then you also set a savings goal based on what that is. And meeting that savings goal is a big point achiever, right? A big point achiever. I mean, if the kids have an interest in doing well in this game, then they really have to hit those savings goals. So you don't want to set unrealistic savings goals. Okay, but they do want you to at least try to save 10%. Okay, 10% of your income is the goal that they want you to shoot for. And if you hit that 10% or better, then you get a lot of points, and so that makes you more competitive. Okay. So throughout the month, okay, day-to-day things pop up. As I said, there's opportunities to earn extra money. You're trying to increase your net worth. You're trying to increase your savings. Okay, you're going to be, the kids have to kind of work through, what I learned, of course, is that when I started the game, I was kind of feeling my way through it. So, but then I got down a system when I moved money from my checking to my savings, from my long-term savings, when I paid off my credit card, how often I used my credit card, okay, and I watched my credit score go up to the point where, I had an 840 credit score at the end of the game. So you learn this thing, but then again, as the slide also suggests, you're bumping up against having some social life too. And as I said again, and I'm repeating myself, but as I said, you really have to balance life. And so it's something that you want to pay attention to. You don't want to, every weekend, you don't want to just work. Some weekends you need to save. Some weekends you need to do some house chores. Okay, some weekends you might need to study or do some professional development or something like that. So, it's all about balance. It's all about trying to maintain a balance. Okay. The choices that kids make, of course, can have a big impact on their overall financial health and how they do in the game. So, for instance, you can have a situation. This was an actual situation that occurred, where if you try to downsize your car insurance, then all of a sudden, lo and behold, next month you might have a fender bender and you have a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that you didn't expect. So, these are the types of decisions that have consequences down the road. And things that, eventually kids will begin to think about. Well, yes, my cash flow is improving now with cheaper auto insurance, but what happens if I have an accident? Okay. Students are penalized if they don't pay their bills on time. And of course, as you know, not paying on time is the single biggest eroder of your credit score. So you can see the credit score go up if the kids pay their bills on time, and you can also see it go down if they don't. Okay. Now, inside the game, okay, there are pop-up quizzes that come up. When I show you the calendar, there 2 or 3 days in the month, there's a big question mark on the day of the week. And if the kids land on that in the process of moving through the month, then they will have a pop-up quiz that will ask them about, and here are some examples of some things that they may be asked about. These are quizzes that they have to respond to, and they have to respond to correctly if they want to move on. They are given extra income if they do well, and they actually can lose points if they don't. So there's constant learning, constant remedial stuff going on, and so it keeps it lively, keeps it interesting, and keeps the kids on task. In addition to that, as I alluded to earlier, there are a number of different assignments. There's articles, there's lesson plans, there's videos that you can utilize. If all of a sudden, and how you play the game, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But if all of a sudden there's a lot of question marks, a lot of blank stares when it comes to questions related to buying stock, investing, or different types of things related to retirement or something like that, then there are plenty of videos that you can utilize in the game, and I'll show you where those are when I get to the website. All right, so there is a curriculum component in this. It's not simply a game in which you throw the kids out there into the wilderness and they wander aimlessly. Okay, there are ways to pull the kids back. There are ways to assess their understanding of certain terminology. There's ways in which you can enhance the lesson as the kids are progressing through the game. So there's plenty of curriculum options for you. Okay. In addition to that, there's some mini games, some ways in which you can earn extra money. Okay, you're given an option on weekends, for instance, where you can work extra hours to make extra income if you want to. And what is associated with that is a number game that the kids play. It's kind of a fast-moving game. And the more successful they are at it, the more money they can make in addition to their base salary. So there are ways to make additional dollars beyond what your base income is. Okay. The assignments that are associated with with each month take about 10 minutes. So collectively, that's about a half an hour a month. So, you know, you can gauge what 18 months will take. It's not something necessarily that by all means is not something that is going to happen in one sitting. Okay, it took me several days, and I was playing it probably more frequently than your kids would play it. But it's very manageable. It's a very manageable amount of time, and there's a lot of learning that goes on in that half an hour. So you know how you do it. You can have the students play the game in class. You can schedule, you know, a particular time during the week where the game is played. You know, I think there's a concern, you know, if all of a sudden you just let the kids go off and play, because there's always the kid that's just going to get it done, you know, as quickly as they possibly can. How well they do, or you know, how much they get out of it, they don't care. So, you know, I don't think it's something that you want to just basically let the kids loose on. I mean, there should be some structure around when the game is played, okay, if you want to get the most out of it. So, you know, how you utilize this in your class, it's up to you, okay? But there are badges to be earned, there's rankings that can be shared. So, you know, everybody has a pretty good idea what's happening, where they stand, and there are achievement badges that you earn throughout the game, which I guess tend to thrill some kids, but they can definitely keep track of where they are, and in conjunction to their competitors, okay? It's different than the stock market game. I mean, the stock market game, if you played that, you know, basically you're playing against the S&P 500. So whoever beats the S&P 500 by the most is who wins the game. This particular game doesn't set itself up to, you know, to have that kind of cut and dry way to win. So it's not a big competition with prizes and so forth, like the stock market game is, but there is still an element of competition. There's still an element of points, and there's rankings and so forth that that kids can look at.
If I have students that it looks like they're already going through it, can they restart, or can they do it again? Or, you know, because I'm planning on doing it like once a week in class with them, but it looks like some are kind of going through on their own. Yeah,
you can. Right now, I'm going to show you how to. You know, you can get new login identities for them. You know, if you want to basically start it from scratch, then I'm going to show you right now how you get logins. And if you need additional logins, new logins, then you can get them, and you can start from scratch if you like. So if you're familiar with this, you want to go to floridasms.com is the website, and I'll go there in a second. And then there's a big red teacher button, okay, where teachers register for free. And when you hit that button, it's going to take you to a registration form, and I'll show that to you in a second. Okay, and this registration form gives you access to both the stock market game and the budget game. Okay. Now, I used to play the stock market game a lot, and I used to group my kids into groups of, say, 3 or 4 and have them invest the $100,000 into a portfolio, which meant that I only needed a login, you know, the login ID and password for, you know, one for every group of 4 kids. Well, in terms of the budget game, every kid has got to have his own, obviously, his own unique login and password. So, if you have been doing what I just suggested, and you've been playing the stock market game, and you need more logins and passwords, then you can acquire them here. Okay, each student will need their own unique one, and once you hit the register list, then a whole list of the logins will be sent to the email that you've designated. Okay, so we'll go to I'll show you how to do that in 1 second on the website. Let me just finish this up. When we go to the game, you will notice that this is what the kids start with. Each individual starts with $1,000, 700 in checking, 300 in savings. Okay, and a $250 credit card limit, a 450 credit score, no quality of life points, which again is what you want to focus on. You want to try to build those up because that truly does make you much more successful if you have a balance. Your credit card limit will go up as your credit score goes up. So I noticed, for instance, I started when I played it with a $250 credit limit. Later in the game, I had a $1,000 credit card limit. So it definitely goes up as the game progresses, as you get better. Again, I would imagine that if I had done things poorly and my credit score fell, then that would not have been the case. So you are rewarded for doing well. Okay. As I will show you, and I will take you through a month, you know, the first thing, the moment that the kids log in, okay, they have to decide what their living circumstances will be. You know, and there are basically 3 options. There is a very, you know, stark, frugal option. There is kind of a modest midland option, and then there's a luxury option. And that's the case with the living conditions. It's the case with the cell plan, internet, and so forth, and what they buy in terms of groceries. Now, again, buying the luxury options of those are going to get you a lot of good points when it comes to your quality of life. But, you know, it's going to be a challenge to pay for those things. So, you know, I chose everything in the middle, and that seemed to work out. You know, I wasn't too frugal. I wasn't too extravagant. I kind of landed in the middle. And I think most kids will probably make that kind of decision. Because again, there is a trade-off between frugality and the quality of life. At the beginning of each month, the students are told what they can expect to earn and spend. And there are always ways to make extra money, as I will show you. This is the key too. I told you about this before. The kids also are going to be asked to set a savings goal. And again, you want to set something that is reasonable, something that's attainable, right? If you want to be successful, you meet your monthly goal. So you don't want to set something that's too far out there. And again, as I said, the makers of the game really want the kids to try to save at least 10%. Okay, so if you are successful in hitting 10 or 11 or 12% or more every month, then you are going to get the max points, the maximum points they have to offer. Okay, so 10% is the minimum that they want you to try to achieve, and you do that on a regular basis, and the kids will be successful. Kids will be successful. All right, so here is this is a sample of the calendar, right? This is the game board itself, right? It's the monthly calendar, and I'm going to take you through it. And you basically move around the calendar, you rolling this dice. So you'll click on the die, and it'll come up, you know, something 1 through 6, and every number is a half day. So a 3 would move you a day and a half. A 6 would move you 3 days. And you'll notice that there are red numbers, green numbers. Okay, you know, green on a Saturday would indicate probably that somebody worked extra hours and made some money. But on Friday and on Wednesday, there was a debit of some sort. You know, there was a bill to be paid or a purchase or something along those lines. So, you know, the red numbers indicate money going out, and the green numbers indicate money coming in. Okay, you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, this is where all of your bills are located. So there's rent, cell phone, energy, you know, your utility bill, your TV, internet, your car insurance, and your car payment. And you're basically given a week. Okay, you'll see if you can take a look at the screen, and I'll show you a big version, but you know, your bill will be issued, and then a week later it'll be due. So basically the kids will know when the bill is due, and they have to plan accordingly. So at the same time, these will light up and blink, okay, constantly indicating due, 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 due. And as I said to you before, if there's an overdue bill, then that of course hampers your credit score, but there's also a fee. So there's definitely disincentives to do that. Down here, you know, at any time, a kid can change their living circumstances. They can change their housing circumstances. for a fee if they want to break their lease and move into a better or maybe less expensive housing. They can change their internet and their TV. They can change their cell phone plan. They can change their groceries. So they can make adjustments if maybe they are a little bit too extravagant, or maybe they can, if they figure out they can afford more. Okay, so they can make changes there. Up here on the top, you can see all of the point totals and all of your balances are kept. Okay, here's the current credit score. So this must have been at the beginning of the game. Quality of life, savings, money that's in savings, available credit, which seems to be a lot. I don't know why they would have that much credit, since I never saw the balances go above 1,000. But anyway, here's your checking balance and so forth. So all the information can be found on one screen. So you advance through the days, and I'll play a month, as I said, and you will see things will pop up, right? And on the weekends, you're given the option to study, to do professional development. It turns out that the more you study, the better job and the better starting salary that you're going to get. And the more professional development that you utilize, the more raises you will get during your work time. Okay, now that's all good. But at the same time, if you're constantly working on the weekends or studying or taking professional development, then you're missing out on those quality of life points. And in the end, you will suffer for lack of balance. And there are a number of disincentives to do, for not staying in balance, Okay, so successful strategies to win. Okay, spend only where you see value, right? Don't spend wastefully. Use your credit card responsibly. You got to use it though, right? I mean, we all know that if you don't use your credit card at all, you can't build a credit score. So you have to use it and repay it, okay? But you have to use it within reason. You don't want to ignore your quality of life. So occasionally splurge, occasionally treat yourself, occasionally, buy something new, as opposed to the multiple times that it sends you to the thrift store to buy things. So, buy things on occasion. And those deterrents do pop up if you do fall out of balance. Okay, and I will show you some of them. I had a discussion with the game maker because I was experiencing, and I apparently when I played the game, I worked too often, and for some reason, one of the deterrents that pops up is a speeding ticket. And all of a sudden I was getting speeding tickets, rushing home from work on the weekend, and you get a speeding ticket. And so, I mean, there are some somewhat wacky deterrents that pop up. On occasion, if I was socializing too much, and all of a sudden my inebriated friends would knock my dishes all over the floor. It didn't say inebriated, but I'm just assuming. They would knock my dishes all over the floor, and I'd have to, buy new dishes. So, I mean, these are some of the deterrents that pop up if you're not in balance. Okay, you got to meet that savings goal. Okay, and you want to build up your emergency fund, right? That was one thing that I did very well. Of all the people that I saw, I had by far the biggest emergency fund, but I did not have enough quality of life points. Okay. And here's the last slide of my PowerPoint. And again, here is the student tutorial video that you can show. It's about 5 minutes. The teacher webinar is about a half an hour, okay? And again, it basically does what I'm doing now. This link will take you to all the lesson plans, and these are specifically a link to budget-related lesson plans. So let me pop this. Is there? How do you introduce the game to your students? Do you show them this PowerPoint? Yeah. All right. So, well, like I said, you've been through the PowerPoint. I would probably show this to them just to give them a sense, and then maybe give them a demonstration. Give them a demonstration of how to play the game. Obviously, what this game does offer you, for instance, you can play, it's an 18-month game, but you can play a practice month and then pick up a 19th month at the end. That will give you your 18 months. So it'll give you a month to practice, a month to demonstrate, you know, where everybody in the class can sit in front of their screens, or everybody that's on your distance learning can sit in front of their screens, and you can take them through the process, and you can show them what happens, and you can show them the pop-ups, and you can show them how to interpret everything on the screen and on the board. So yeah, I would show them this video. Again, and this student tutorial video is not a bad thing, or I would use this PowerPoint. Yeah, for sure. All right. All right. Any other questions while I'm moving to I'm going to move over to the game board now. Any other questions?
I have a question if I could.
Yeah, please.
Just a couple. So you were talked about the quizzes. And that they have to pass the quiz. Can they retake it as many times as they want, or can you set
Yes.
up?
Yes, they can, although they end up not making as much money if they fail at it, you know, one time or twice. So yeah, go ahead.
And there's a teacher's area where you can see like what they got on their quiz grades.
Yep.
And where they are in the game, where they're, you know, like charts on what they're achieving and what they're weak
Yeah.
at and things like that.
Yep, I'm going to show that to you right now.
Okay, and then just one more question then. I should know this, but is the game 10 weeks just like the stock market challenge, or like how much time do you have to play the game?
Well, the beauty of this game is that I mean, the window is going to open, I think it's open right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's open now,
open
yeah.
on January 25th, yeah. And it runs to May. But basically, you know, it's different from the stock market game in that you can play, you know, you're playing simulated weeks, right?
Right.
Months rather. So you can play it, like I said, I mean, I guess if you wanted to, you could just have the kids just go at it and they could feast on it, you know, nonstop and get it done.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking like how
Yeah.
much time there was to
It's
play it. So we have plenty of time then. We have
plenty of
through
time,
May.
and you don't have to start it on January 25th. You can start it, you know, like a lot of people may find, for instance, that they have time like 2 weeks at the end of the school year, right? And, you know, after testing or something like that. And you may want to set aside that 2-week window to play the game. You can do it that way if you want to, right? Or you can
Okay.
play it, you know, on a set schedule week after week after week if you want to. So it's very flexible.
Okay, just one more question if I could then.
Sure.
So if you know, some of my students like to compete, right?
Mhm.
So if, as a motivating part of the game, so if they're competing against other people, say in South Florida, would it doesn't matter. Like if somebody finished the game in 3 days, that's their score, right?
Right.
And you can
right.
finish the game in 2 months and you would still be competing against that score, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'll show you. Like for instance, like I said, I was, last I checked, I was in 3rd place, and I did the game, and I think I started it on Friday, and I did a little bit over the weekend, and you know, and so I did it in about 4 days basically, and so that's my score, and my competition, my effort is over. So I'm basically riding that score for the rest of the semester.
And was your 30 minutes between for a month you were estimating?
Yeah.
Would you say for a student, and especially say like an 8th grade student, but would you say for a student it's going to take them longer? Like is that the average that they figured out it takes most students, or was that for you with like plenty of experience?
The 20 minutes and the 10 minutes are what they suggest. I mean, so
Okay.
they're thinking of, it's not me, that I didn't come up with that number. As you might imagine, in the beginning, when I'm kind of feeling out exactly what my timing of everything is going to be, it took longer to get through the month. But then as I progressed through the game, I began to get a system where I knew exactly when I was going to pay, you know, into my savings. I knew exactly, you know, what I was going to do with my income. You know, one of the features that makes it really easy, I thought, is that they get paid every week, as opposed to what all of us normally get paid every 2 weeks. So, you know, when you're paid every 2 weeks, you know, you got to stretch it out, right? And you got to make decisions knowing that I'm not going to get a paycheck for 13 days. But if I know I'm going to get a paycheck every 7 days, then that allows me to be, you know, to be a little bit more sure of what I'm doing, and so it's pretty interesting.
I have a quick follow-up question to this.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we could do a month of practice
Yeah.
or months, you know, a games month worth of practice. Does it reset after that, or can it be reset, or how does that work?
Yeah, it can be reset, and again, you can get a whole set of new logins, and where you use, maybe if you want to do a couple practice months, you know, with one set of logins, and then you want to log in again and give kids new logins, new passwords, where they start from scratch.
So
You
that
just
would
get
be the
the logins,
mechanism,
like-
do a new login?
Say it again.
The mechanism would be to do a new login?
Yeah, I think that would be the easiest. I mean, there's no limit to the number of logins that you can acquire.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Question. Okay, so I'm just looking at the dashboard and I saw that you're number 3 and that you have 19 months and everybody else has 18 months.
Right.
So what you're basically, if we do that, where we have the first month, we're just playing around, we're doing it with them and we're showing them what to do.
Mhm.
Does that change the 6 months in college and the 12 months on the real job? What does the 19th month become? Is that?
The 19th month was an additional month on the job.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, but again, as was just suggested, it might be a good idea to play
Just new cards, new
a
numbers.
demo round with one set of logins and then set up a new set of logins to actually play the real game.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm going to share again.
Where did that PowerPoint come from? Is that something that you did, the PowerPoint that you created?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you going to send us that?
If you're nice to me, yeah, I will.
Please. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see where
I do have a question real fast. I know you have a lot of background, obviously, knowledge of all the things that go on with budgeting and so forth. What about students that probably don't have this background? How important is that going to be?
Well, it is, yeah, there's no question that I am a little bit more experienced, and you know, and some of these ideas are embedded in me. So I knew to pay myself first. I knew to, you know, I knew how to manage bills. So yeah, without a doubt, I should do better. But you know, you're gonna spend some time maybe with the Nearpod that I've given you. You know, maybe with some other activities that really kind of drive home this idea of pay yourself first, and you know, make wise economic decisions. You know, more money coming in than going out, and those types of things. I mean, you're gonna dedicate as much time as you can, but you know, there's really no better way to learn than just experiencing it. And so, you know, the kids will struggle in the beginning. They're gonna struggle. I mean, I didn't get it down myself in the first month. I mean, I had to set up a system. I had to realize, you know, kind of, you know, get my bearings in terms of exactly what was going to be coming up for me. And then, but once I figured it out, I was able to get a system. So I think, you know, the kids will improve through the process of playing. So, you know, but I'm sure that won't be the only thing that you do in the classroom in talking about budgeting.
I'm just curious, is it more high school, or is there a lot of middle school that also do this?
Yeah, this game, as I understand, is 6 through 12.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 to 12. Yeah. There's a middle school division. There's a high school. Yeah. Okay. Are you all looking at the home screen? Am I sharing the home screen with you? Does that mean yes? Okay. All right. So this is where you are when you go to floridasms.com, right? And again, here's that big red button that I said that you would hit. And so you would hit register, and then it asks you to fill in this information here, right? So it's the spring game. And again, you are signing up for both the stock market challenge and the budget game. Okay, and you can bounce on the same website. You can bounce back and forth between the two, between the stock market challenge and the budget game. Okay, you will establish your own login, right? Your own login. And understanding that the login, the username that you establish will be kind of the prefix in the login that the kids will receive. Okay, so for instance, if my name was Demo, Mr. Demo, then I would say Demo D51, and so the kids are going to get Demo in the name. So if you want your name to be kind of the prefix in their login, or you want to come up with something flashy, like the Budget Battlers or something like that, whatever you want, you can kind of define that in your username, and then you set up your password. I don't know why they need to know how old you are, but there's the email address where you're going to set up where your name, where the login information is going to be set. Your name, school, blah blah blah. Here we go, user prefix. So again, you can generate, you can use your own name, you can use anything you want in terms of something creative or something fun. The number of students. So if you have 100 students, then you're going to want 100 logins, right? So 100 students, so 1 per kid. Then you will plug in, what region you're in. So, South Florida or Central Florida, wherever you are, you can plug in where you think you are located, what county you're in, whether your school is Title I or not, the subject that you're going to be teaching this in, grade level. Okay, again, you can see even elementary, middle, high school. Okay, so you have that, all those different options. And then you're going to hit, once you agree, then you're going to hit the button down here, and almost instantaneously your email address will be the your login sheet with all of the logins and all of the passwords. So that will be the first step. Okay. Now I'm going to log in, and so this is what happens when you log in. Notice it takes you immediately to the stock market challenge, right? If you'll notice, this is all about stocks and investing. Not a good day on the Dow today, okay, and so forth. So to play the budget game, here, this button right here, you switch to the budget game, okay, and here is the budget game. Now you'll notice I played here, and this game is played. It's over. So I'm going to take you to a student site, and we'll play the game in a minute. Okay, but let me show you, let me go back one step back to the previous one. All right, so here's the budget game. Okay, so here you have your tutorial videos, okay, that we talked about. If you, again, all of these drop downs are, for the stock market challenge, and down here the budget game as well. So you have tutorial videos and so forth for budget game, understanding credit score. So both games are under the same drop down. Okay, the same thing is true with your lessons and so forth. Okay, these are all personal finance. If we click on that, okay, it takes you to a number of different articles. Okay, different articles about what student loans are, building wealth, mortgages, buying cars. So here's a whole bunch array of different lessons and articles that you can utilize in kind of building the kids' foundation of understanding. Okay. Here's the rankings. Okay, so again, if you take a look, there is me. Okay, I was, again, look at my low quality of life, but my high net worth. So I did a lot of saving, but I didn't really enjoy myself while I was doing it. So that's where I struggled. Okay, variety of things here. So your dashboard for, and I'm trying to find, let's see. All right, I'll find the thing that I'm looking for in a second. But let me take you to a student, what the student would see. So I'm going to log out here, I'm gonna log back in, and I'm going to, oh, I know, I'm sorry, I was already in the student. This is my mistake. This is what I wanted. I'm sorry. This is your view. My bad. I had already logged into the student one. So this is what the teacher would see. Okay, I knew I was looking at something funny. Okay, so this is what you would see. So again, demo teacher, this would be your home screen, right, when you logged in. And again, so up here is the, we are on instructor administration screen, right? So if you scroll down here, you can add extra teams. As I said earlier, if you need extra logins, this is where you would come. Okay, this is where you would come. So again, up here in the upper left-hand corner is the instructor administration, again, right there on your home screen. You would log down here. And then here, notice I just...
You can, to add teams, you can just put any, like the student username that should follow suit of what already exists, or...
Exactly. If you find that you need, like if you've got new kids entering the class, or if you want to just get a whole new fresh set of logins, you can do that. So let me, down here, I just created my own little quick class of like 5 kids. And so all I did was that I typed in the number 5 here, where it says number of students, and then I typed in 5 logins. And then I clicked add, and all of a sudden, originally I only had demo teacher and D51, and then I just added these. So these showed up. So these are, and so these are all, this would be my class. And so I could view portfolio when there's activity going on. I could view the budget game. So if you're playing the stock market game, you can take a look at, this would break down, and again, I don't have any activity to show you, but this would break down what this kid is invested in, you know, in terms of what their profit and loss is, their transactions, and so forth. Okay, here, if you click on budget game details, then again, it would show, as you can see, what the kid's current credit score is, quality of life, you know, how long has he been playing the game, and you know, is he engaged or not engaged, right? I mean, that's what you really want to figure out. Is the kid doing what you want them to do? Okay, and you can take a look at, you know, score and checking, see what's in their checking, savings, credit, all of those things. So there's a lot of ways. So you can take a look at that activity. All right, so so that is, so you can see rankings.
Can you
And
show
here-
us what actually has scores on it and what they've done, what that looks like yours?
I can't, because I can't log into another teacher's site. So I can't. I can.
What about the one that you did, that you took
Yeah,
third place? Can you look at that?
Let's see. All right. All right. Here's my So here's my score. Overall score, net worth, blah blah blah. So that's.
So it doesn't give us their quiz scores or let us know how far they are each week.
Well, if you take a look at assignments here, then I believe that. Yeah. Again, I don't know if it's going to do it for me because I don't have any assignments. But this is the button that you would hit when you want to take a look at where your kids are in terms of their assignments. So that's going to keep track of, you know, how successful have they been on the pop-up quizzes? If you assign them.
Can you show us yours?
I didn't really assign myself any homework. I'm sorry.
Oh, so only if we assign it. So if they're doing it on their own, we would not be able to see that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you are assigning them things to do in addition to play the game, then they will have to meet those assignments, and those assignments will show up there on this menu. So you're going to see you'll see the kids, your entire class will drop down on this assignment menu, and it will show, you know, who's been successful, who's keeping up with you, who's keeping up and who's not keeping up. So
So
the
you have
assi-
to assign it first? You can assign parts of the game as an assignment? Or
Yeah.
it won't keep track of it? Like it won't keep track of the quizzes unless I assign them?
Well, there are pop-up quizzes that will come up that will also. So once the game is played,
I see.
and there are some. So there will be a record kept of how the kids are doing if they're progressing through their quizzes.
I was also just planning on making them like the way that I grade is we use Canvas. I was
Mhm.
going to have them, I was going to set up the assignment in Canvas and have them just send me screenshots so that it can, sync up with Pinnacle that way.
Okay.
When I click on assignments, it's not letting me do anything. It just says, please choose assignment. I click on high school and it doesn't have anything. Like, where do I even find assignments?
Well, let me log out and see what. Log out and let me log back in as a student.
I mean, I can share my screen and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Let's see. Budget game. Okay. So. Achievements. Third center. Yeah, I mean, if you want, in terms of, that was one thing that I wasn't able to explore because I wasn't able to give myself assignments. So that's going to be something that if you would afford me a little bit more time, I'll do a little bit more research on that, and I can send you guys follow up on that question, because that was one element of the game that I couldn't really visualize because I couldn't assign myself things and accomplish them.
Also, I tried to do the lessons for the stock market challenge and just nothing ever came up.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe I'll have to ask the developer about that, because that's something that one element of the game that I'm not really familiar with, because that was one element I couldn't do myself. So I will definitely follow up on that. I'll talk to them tomorrow. I'll email everybody the response. All right, so let us take a look at the game itself. And so I'm going to play the game. And as I said to you, it's, here are the initial choices that come up. Okay, so each student will have to decide their living circumstances. They're going to have 5 roommates, 2 roommates, 1 roommate, and pay accordingly. So I just pick things in the middle. And then here's my cell phone plan. And again, I just pick things in the middle. And my grocery plan, you can see eating a lot of ramen. There's not a significant price difference between them, but I just decided I'll pick things in the middle. Okay. All right. So as I said, you begin with $1,000 net worth, broken down in that respect. $250 credit balance, 450 credit score, no quality of life. Okay, here you see again, this is the button that you hit when you want to transfer money. Remember, we're going to set a goal here in a second. Let me, I guess I've got to start the game in order for these questions to come up. All right, so you click on that die, and then every month, you get the opportunity to review your monthly budget. What do you expect to come in? What are your bills? Okay, so here's my expected income. This is, remember, I'm starting out as a college student with a part-time job, so I'm making $18 an hour, 25 hours a week. So it asks me to fill in what I believe I will earn. So just some simple math, 1,800, right? Okay, and then you submit that, and I am told I'm correct. And then, and again, this happens every month. So here's a breakdown of what the outlays are expected, right? What are my expenses? Okay, I'm sharing a place, so I'm paying $250 in rent. This is what I pay for phone, internet. Okay, and again, this is based on the decisions that I made at the beginning of the game as to the circumstances that I was living my life. What would be my bills? I set this up. Okay, in addition to that, I am anticipating, $60 in gas, 125 in groceries. And now, and here is another element, right? I mean, if, as we know, these are the things that we can basically expect, right? But as we all know, there is the unexpected. So it's asking you as the player to kind of estimate what you believe your unplanned expenses are going to be. Now that's a shot in the dark, obviously, in the beginning of the game, because you haven't seen any pop-up windows. You don't know anything about what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. So you're gonna put in any number to begin with, right? So let's just say I'm going to say, all right, I anticipate having $200 worth of unexpected expenses. Okay, so that will ultimately total out my expenses. And then I am asked, how much do I expect to save? So here is my expected net income. Here are my expected expenses, right? And this is what I have in surplus at the beginning of the month. So how much am I going to save? And remember, we talked about this idea of trying to hit at least 10%. It would be nice if I could save $300, but that's closer to 20%, and that may be difficult to reach because, again, I don't know what life will throw at me. So I'm going to put in something here that is close to, so I'm going to say $175, which will get me above that 10%. And over here, it will tell me, it indicates based on what we know now that is going to be fairly easy for me to reach. Again, it's going to hit my 10% goal. It's not going to be unattainable, and it should get me the points that I'm looking for, and all the game score points are kept right here. So as you score points through your net worth, through your savings, through your quality of life, this is the cumulative score of points that you're earning right here. All right, so again, what I've done, I have set up the initial game by deciding where I'm living, what kind of cell phone plan I have, what kind of TV internet deal I've got going on, what are my groceries, and then I've taken a look at my anticipated income and expenditures for the month. I've set a savings goal, and now I'm ready to face life. So here we go. So immediately I'm thrown a lesson. All right, so as I said, these are the pop-up little lessons that you have to respond to. You have to enter the right amount here before you can move on. So you view the lesson. So it says, enter the day of the month when your credit card statement will be issued. So this is more along the lines of kind of the logistics of the game. Okay, and I read through this and say, scrolling down here. "19th of every month is when my credit card statement is going to be." Okay, so if I put the 19th, hopefully that'll answer to the day of the month. And there you go. I earned 25 bucks. That'll show up on my next paycheck. Okay, so I'm going to continue. And I'm moving into the weekend. All right, so immediately we're into that weekend dilemma. So here are your four choices. And again, this plays directly into this idea of balance, right? The idea of balance. So I can work extra hours, I could socialize, I could do household chores, or I could study. Okay, now again, studying, the more you study, the better job, built into the game, the better job, the better starting salary you're going to have, right? But again, studying, kids study all the time, there's no quality of life points, right? So, but if I socialize and I party too much, then my inebriated friends break all my dishes. So, and I won't necessarily get a good starting salary. So I have to find balance. If I ignore my household chores, all of a sudden I'll have an outbreak of ants in the house, and I'll have to hire an exterminator. I mean, there'll be these issues that'll pop up if I neglect a certain element of my life. Okay. Now, if I want to work extra hours and I want to make some extra money, let me just pick that. So I'm going to click on this, and up pops this little game that you play. Okay, and you get 60 seconds and you play this game, And I mean, it's a number game, and I'll just do it for you real quick. And you hit your buttons and you move around, and you try to accumulate score, and you'll notice I'm scoring. I'm just doing this randomly. I have no idea what I'm doing. The kids will be better at this than I am, so it just goes around, blah blah blah, and points are points, and I'm down, 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 and so I'm scoring, and I'm up, and I'm up, and I'm up, and I'm down, and I'm scoring, and you can see that I'm accumulating score, which translates into there's a certain amount of dollars that you get. So you scroll around and blah blah blah, and still 30 seconds, and this is going to be annoying. But look at this, I'm making extra money, okay, and it's going to show up in my next paycheck. And when that happens, the game freezes. Now notice I jam myself up now where there's no room for a new number to jump in. So you'll want to point that out to the kids. I'm not any good at these types of games, so this happened to me a lot. And you'll notice that because the board is jammed up, then I earned $89.20. So I earned 892 points, I think that was, or whatever. So I earned $1 a point basically. So, and that will show up in my next paycheck. All right, so all of a sudden, see, and here is a deterrent already. It's pulling me over for speeding. Now, I ended up getting, in my 18 months, I think I ended up counting that I got 9 speeding tickets. Okay, 9 speeding tickets. And I asked the developer about that, and he said, well, you must have been working too much, and not having a good time enough. So these are the types of things that pop up. So this is an example of a deterrent, and I mean, it's kind of tough to hit me on the first day of me playing the game. But now I have to make a decision. Do I pay with my debit card or do I pay with my credit card? I don't have any balance on my credit card yet. Okay, I have, I have this money in my checking account, $725. So I'm going to, but I also want to make notice that I have rent due next month. I've got issues, so I'm gonna pay with my debit, and so then that takes over that responsibility. All right, so I move through the game, and all of a sudden I've got to go out and buy a 90. I can buy 3 jeans for $90, but that's somebody else. So I'm going to use my credit card to pay for that. Okay, so now you'll notice that my credit balance is up to $90. My savings went down because of my ticket, and but I made the $25 through I had a cash inflow coming in. Oh, excuse me. When I answered those questions correctly, I made $25. So I had 25 coming in. Outflow was $75. And so that changed my checking balance by 50, right? And now notice this little thing here. This is telling me what we didn't notice on Saturday was my rent invoice was issued. And so I have a week to pay rent. So I know that I have to pay rent by the end of the week. Okay, and so by rolling the die, we'll see what happens. So I got a 3, that's going to move me a day and a half. Notice again, the $90 that I spent is debited here. Parking, I got to pay for a parking permit. So I know that my rent is $250. So I have $650. So I'm going to make a decision here. Maybe let's say I'll use my debit card. Okay. Now I'm going to pay my rent early. I'm going to pay my rent now just to show you how it's done. So here is my $250. I have $563 left in my checking account. I'm going to use my debit card to pay my rent. And I'm going to pay it all. You can pay it in increments if you want. As long as you pay on time, you don't suffer any fee. So, but I pay it now, and you'll notice my balance is adjusted as a result. And you can see my outflow is now $412. My inflow is only, all right. So I've taken care of my rent. Notice the little bed's gone. This thing's not blinking. So I've taken care of that. So I know that that's behind me. Okay. So you can see that this is going to progress. groceries. All right, groceries come up, and I now note I already am in a dilemma. Now, if I spend 125 credit, then that is going to eat up a lot of my outstanding balance. I only have $313, so already we're in a tight spot here. Okay, we're in a tight spot. So I'm going to use my credit card and buy the groceries, but I'm getting pretty darn close. And one would imagine that that means that I'm getting close to my limit. Oh my goodness. Charm of eating at the counter was worn off. You need to invest in a kitchen table. Holy smokes. Well, I can't afford to use my credit card, so I'm going to hit debit. And I'm down to 186 bucks, so things are getting tight. Thankfully, I get paid on Friday. There's my paycheck. Okay, so that's the one thing that gives a little bit of relief in the sense that you get paid every week. I'd be pulling the remaining 3 hairs in my head out if I had to wait 2 weeks for a paycheck. So there, and you'll notice I jumped out of that pretty quickly, but you'll notice that they take out the appropriate amount of taxes, they take out Social Security, and so forth. All right, so now I'm faced with a situation. I know that I worked last week, so I'm going to do some household chores this week, okay? And all of a sudden, look at that, I'm taking my aluminum, so I make an extra 15 bucks. All right, so I noticed that we're about 3 minutes away from when I said I would end my session. Do you have any questions at all? I mean,
I have a question. Where can you live for $250 a month in rent?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you have a roommate. I know that. So you have a roommate.
You probably have to have 20 roommates.
$125 for food for the month.
Yeah. So you have, I mean, there's a corrugated cardboard box under the 95 overpass, I think.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Can the 12 students change their names? Like the passwords that it gives us are like, our thing with some weird numbers. We basically have to assign those to the kids, correct?
Yeah. If you see the screen right there,
Right.
you can change the password if you want to.
So we can actually we don't want like the password to be their first name or anything, right?
They can change the password.
Yeah,
They
they can change. See, can you see on the screen? I'm dropping this.
I
link
got
down.
it. I
It's a
got
budget game and says change passwords. The kids can change their passwords. Yeah, I mean they need to keep the login, but they can change their password. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the administrator, the teacher can see the changed password, because I had a few that put in some real doozies in the past. So
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
you can still see if they change their password from the default. You can see what they do.
Yes, it'll show up in that menu. With all the other activity. Yeah. But to your point about the costs, I mean, I asked, I asked the developer about this, and these are things that can be changed at the administrative level, not our level as teachers, but can be changed at the administrative level. So I'm gonna look into that a little bit more, because like the TV internet bill is only about $30. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't spend $30 for TV and internet. The cell phone bill, let's pop that up. That's $45 a month for a cell phone. Well, I guess if that's on my AARP plan, that might be something, but
So they
But I think
split
the
up the cable
principle
bill, like
behind
if you
them
have
making
5
some
roommates, the
sense is
cable
still
bill is
important.
lower.
Oops.
yeah, I guess that's a possibility. But the idea is that some of these are pretty unreasonable, but then
It's still good.
there's another window that pops up, and it says, fill up your gas tank for $100. And I'm thinking, these are California prices, or or something like that.
For
So
the giant SUV.
maybe I drive an 18-wheeler to work or something like that.
Like the second half of the game, when you're not like a student anymore, do those, prices change?
Yes. Your living options change. Your you take on additional costs. Like and they are higher. Yeah, they're definitely higher. So that they reflect your increase in status. They reflect your increase in income.
I think it's okay that, like the $250 rent, because it's the question of making choices and accepting the consequences and planning
Right.
ahead. So for a simulation, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice, I mean, I was in a tight spot in the first week in terms
You're
of the
speeding
things
everywhere.
that were.
Can I ask a question? How did you guys get them their usernames and passwords? Did you send it in? I mean, because I'm online and I have like 36 kids in a class times 5 periods. Do you just email each kid individually this, or how did you distribute these to the kids online?
Anybody want to take that
I
question?
just put them in a spreadsheet and then I pop it on the screen and or I send it to them on their chat.
Yeah, I did private.
I do OneNote too, so I
did
just
private
post it on.
chat messages.
Yeah, I use OneNote actually, so I just post their username and password on there, and I create a tab for the game, a homepage, and then I just post it in their notebook, so only they can see it. So I just copy and paste it into their notebook.
And the first assignment I gave them was that they had to go in and reset their password as their last name. So then I can just look at my list and see who it is. Like,
I
Oh,
love
nice. That's a
Thank
good
you.
idea.
There you go.
word last name. Love that.
I always had to keep going back to my spreadsheet. That's good.
All right. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you beyond my time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going
oh, and
to,
sorry for the last name. Their password does have to be 5 characters. So if their last name is a little shorter, they have to add a number.
Okay.
okay. I'm going to send you the PowerPoint. I'm going to send you the Nearpod. I'm going to investigate your questions, the couple questions that we had about the assignments and how they're actually distributed, or how they're, I guess you wanted to know exactly how you could keep track of their assignments. And so I'll check up on that. And I hope this has been helpful.
Very. Thank you.
Yeah, good. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's been good. Thank you very much. I'm going to take off.
yeah. All right. I hope to see you maybe on the 9th for the Great Migration.
All right.
Have a great evening.
Brett, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And please send the other Nearpods to us, or the one
will.
that you did on budgeting, the Nearpod,
For sure. I will. Definitely.
or any others you're willing to share. This is my first semester teaching this.
All right. I will send you an array.
Thank you so much.
Cornucopia.
I will use them. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.